So hello and welcome to everyone to this next session on the Professional Development Virtual Chapter. We'll be getting started in just a minute or two. I'm just waiting for a few more people to join us. We will be taking you through a few updates from the past organisation, so kind of the community news that we have for you, and there's quite a bit of that. And then I'll pass over the reins to Ryan, who will take you through navigating PASS and all the great stuff that PASS has to offer. So we're going to be starting in about a minute's time. If you have any questions, please do use the chat window inside of the GoToWebinar session controls, which will be on the right-hand side. It may have minimized, so it should be available to you. Type in any questions you have for Ryan about this session today, and hopefully we'll be able to answer those during the session or at the end of the session as well. And I'm going to get started and just a few seconds, just waiting for the clock to go round to that time frame. So for those of you who have just joined us, just to repeat the information I've just provided, we will be providing a quick update of the PASS community news about the events that are happening around PASS and the upcoming ones that we have. And then we'll be passing the controls for the session over to Ryan, who will take us through his session about navigating PASS. We are recording this session, so you'll be able to kind of view the recording later on, and that should be up later today on both our YouTube channel and also on our PASS website as well. So it looks like that we are pretty much on the hour. So I'm going to first off welcome and say hello to everyone who's joined us today. And for those who are viewing the recording, hello as well, and hopefully you're going to enjoy the session we have for you. This is the Professional Development Virtual Chapter. My name is Neil Hambley and I'm the Professional Chapter VC lead. I also have a co-lead, Matan, who I think may be joining us later on, but we basically take it turns to run these sessions as well. So first off, PASS community news. This is the August 2015 release. For those of you who are going to be attending the Summit 2015, if you've not already provided your registration, you still have time for that. It's going to be happening towards the end of October, so you still have a bit of time left. We do have some discount code, and I'm looking here, I don't actually have it listed, but I will make that available to you guys. So as a virtual chapter, we have the ability to offer a discount off the current pricing for that. It's the largest event that we have in the SQL Server world. It's going to be over 5,000 registrations. This is over from 2,000 companies and over 52 countries. So quite a network of different individuals traveling from around the world to the sessions we have there.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, go ahead.
I've actually got your code in my slide deck, so we will talk about that here shortly.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I just realized I just pulled it up and I hadn't actually updated it. So, Ryan, you're on the ball with this one. You're showing us all the great stuff. So if you haven't been to PASS and you want to know a bit more about it, Ryan's I'm sure, going to kind of delve into that into the session today. But it's something to consider to further your career and network with your peers out there. As you're aware, this is a virtual chapter. There are a host of our virtual chapters that we have in the PASS organization. Here's a listing of some of those PASS virtual chapters. So if you have a kind of inkling about data science, or you want to know how to do stuff with business intelligence, you see there's a whole range of different virtual chapters that specialize in those kind of fields and technologies of interest. So feel free to go onto the PASS site and register for those and be aware of the events that are being run. These are usually on a monthly basis. Here's a quick kind of listing of some of the current ones in this time frame here. So you can see that we are actually one of the ones listed for the 5th of August, but there's some more there for the 12th and 13th, and again, there's some additional ones beyond that as well that's available on the website that you can view those. You may be aware that we also have kind of free one-day focused events, and they're known as SQL Saturdays. And these happen around the world. And you can visit SQLSaturday.com to get all the great news about what events are there, what the agendas are, who's speaking, what pre-cons, etc. So here's a listing of the ones for August and some of September ones. And there's some great events there. I've been to quite a few of the ones in North America in the past, and I'll actually be doing a couple of the international ones, so Johannesburg and also Cape Town. I'm going to be doing a couple of South Africa ones myself, along with pre-cons. But you can see there's a vast array of SQL Saturdays. One that's probably going to be fairly close to you, or within shouting distance at least. So be aware that these are events that you can attend. There's pre-cons at low cost, and there's also full days event, similar to like the kind of summit layout where we have sessions and different tracks, and the same kind of speakers that you would see at those sessions are going to be at your SQL Saturdays. If you are not aware that you also have local chapters, so these are physical meetings that happen in different regions and locations throughout the year, where they have some additional capabilities that the virtual chapters don't have, in that you can get some face-to-face time with your peers, networking. You have some in-person training capabilities, so you can actually talk to that presenter kind of one-on-one during the sessions, etc. And it's a great way to kind of further your expansion of your understanding about SQL Server, but not only about that, about how to kind of work your way into those networking groups where you can kind of share that knowledge that you have with others as well. And if you want to be involved in volunteering, etc., you can also speak to your local organisers about that. And if not, no local group, potentially you might want to be looking to start one. So you can contact anyone at PASS organisation, but also speak to your local group organisers, because they can help steer you if you want to consider starting a group there. The whole PASS organisation is built on a group of volunteers, and these are people that put a lot of time and effort into ensuring that these training events can happen. And one of the things that we like to do is to help kind of recognise those people that have gone kind of beyond the kind of normal level of kind of passion for the events and training that they provide. So we often ask people to submit a nomination for the Passion Award. So this is something that is like a yearly award, and there's also kind of monthly awards as well around kind of the people that are in your area, in your group, that you want to recommend for an award. So please go to the website and look at the Community Volunteers Passion Award page and maybe put a submission in for that. Obviously, PASS is a large organisation. We have many ways of communicating. So not only do we have kind of the websites, we have LinkedIn and Facebook pages as well. Twitter, you can obviously follow us on Twitter, and obviously there's the website for the main kind of grouping of all the information there. So that's pretty much what I wanted to make you aware of. Kind of, there was a few upcoming events, lots of other virtual chapters, etc. So don't just consider that you have to go to the local chapter you have. You also have all the virtual chapters available to you as well. So what I'm going to do now is pass over the control to Ryan, and I'll let him continue the presentation and introduce himself. Ryan, I think you should have the controls about now.
All right, I think we are good. Should be able to see everything. If things get a little choppy, let me know and I'll turn my webcam off. All right, everybody. Well, welcome. I appreciate everybody joining me this afternoon. I've entitled this presentation this afternoon, Navigating PASS, because we're going to learn all about our community and what PASS can offer for us and the opportunities that it can provide us. A little bit about myself. My name is Ryan Adams. I'm a SQL Server MVP. I work for Verizon. I've worked for the company for about 17 years now. I do speak frequently at different events and SQL Saturdays, and some of those things we'll talk about today. And I will be speaking at the upcoming PASS Summit. So if you're there, make sure you join me in my session. I would love to have you meet you in person. So let's start off talking about just what our overall objectives are, just the things that I want to talk about today, right? So what is PASS in general? What does the organization mean? How is the organization run from a hierarchy down? And then how do I get involved in all these different things that PASS has to offer? So They offer local user groups. They offer virtual chapters, which you're here of one today. A lot of things that Neil kind of gave us an overview of earlier, SQL Saturday events, and then just how we can volunteer and get involved. So first off, let's talk about what PASS is. So PASS is an organization, is a volunteer-run organization. So absolutely nobody in PASS actually gets paid with the exception of HQ. So the headquarters is actually a company that PASS pays in order to handle the day-to-day management of things. If you have not interacted with anybody in HQ, make sure that you do try and get to know them, especially if you're at the summit. They are the engine that keeps things running every single day as far as a day-to-day business. So that may be anything from finance to marketing, making sure that everything's in order for the summit. There are some amazing folks in HQ that do amazing things for this community every single day. So make sure you get to know those folks if you get the opportunity to. If you see me around the summit, let me know. I will introduce you to some of them because they really are some great people. So it's a not-for-profit organization, which means that any of the money that PASS makes, they dump right back into the community. So nobody on the board of directors is taking home a paycheck. Nobody's running a SQL Saturday or as a virtual chapter, regional mentor. All the things we're going to talk about today, these are all folks that do it because they volunteer to do it, because they love doing it. They love the technology, they love the people, and they want to help each other. So keep that in mind because that is one big difference between the PASS organization and other organizations. The motivation is different, which just makes the feel of the community completely different and why it is such a special thing. PASS has over 100,000 members. It's a huge worldwide organization. So, Neil running the chapter here, he's over in the UK. I'm over here in the US. I'm in the Texas area. And PASS has had a huge impact, I know, for both of us across the board, even from two completely different countries on two completely different continents. So it's just an amazing thing that has been able to bring all of us together. Now, the kind of tagline or mantra for PASS is, and I still to this day don't actually know who came up with this. Whoever it is, my hat is off to you. I absolutely love this. So it is connect, share, and learn. Because the idea is these are the overall things, the goals that PASS has, is to connect people to people. You go to work, you have a team that you work with, and that team works really well, but maybe you don't have all the expertise that you need on the team. Maybe you're an accidental DBA. Maybe you are the only DBA for your shop. For the things that I support at my company, I'm the only DBA. So if I have questions and I have things, I don't have peers that I get to go to. So where do I find those resources? And that is one of the things that PASS offers, is to connect to the other people to have those resources. Sharing. Sharing is so that we can share our knowledge with each other. We can share resources, whether that may be blogs or other links and posted things that we found online. That may be training sessions, whether they're recorded sessions that we're, just like we're doing today, and sharing those things. But it's peer-to-peer knowledge sharing that as we've made these connections with other folks, we say, you know what, I've been having this problem with reporting services. Who can I go talk to that really knows something about reporting services that I might not know a whole lot about, that might be able to point me in the right direction or help me solve this? And that is what PASS is really about, is connecting people to people. Now, you may wonder how PASS is run at, and this is actually a really prime opportune time for me to talk about this stuff, because as of today, the board of directors has now been opened. So if you are interested in running for the board of directors of PASS, if you want to submit your application for that, that is actually occurring today. So that opens today and it runs for the next week. And so we'll kind of talk about how all of this stuff runs. Now, some of these pieces have already run. I will say that this is an exciting time for me, and for those of you watching right now, I will be putting my name in. I will be submitting to run for the PASS board this year, so I'm very excited about that. It's something I've been thinking about doing for years and years, and I'm very excited to finally be able to be in a time in my life where I can go ahead and submit my application, so I do plan to do that. So let's talk about how that process works, because it's not as simple as it might sound at first. So up here on the top left, we start off with the nomination committee. Now, the nominations committee has a job, and their job is actually pretty simple. And although it sounds simple on the surface, I have been on the NomCom in the past myself, and so I served on the NomCom. It was 2 years ago. It was one of the years that we've had probably one of the larger amount of people actually submit for the board than any other year. And so the nomination committee's job is to say, look, we've got all these people that have submitted for the board. 2 people, 5 people, whatever it happens to be, 15, whatever happens to submit. And we need to look at their applications they've submitted and go, are they really qualified to run for the board? Will they have a good impact? Do they have all the things that they need? Are they eligible to run? And that's really all we're doing is determining, the nomination committee is determining eligibility to run. And I'm going to introduce this year's nomination committee to you here on the next slide. Now, the nomination committee also goes out for public elections. So if you want to be on the NomCom and it's too late this year, if they've already been chosen this year, you can do that. So you can submit an application to be on the nomination committee. They also go up for public election so that the members of the community get to vote on the nominating committee. Now, the nominating committee will look at all of the board applications. They're going to look at those for everybody that submits for the directors, which would be the directors at large, which you'll see down there at the bottom left. And what the NomCom does is not only do they look at them and say, are you qualified to run based on this certain criteria, but they're going to rank them. And they say, after interviewing them, looking at both their applications, they interview everybody over the phone. You get ranked on your application, you get ranked on your interview separately. They average those together, and then they put out a public ranking that says, we believe that as far as the qualifications go, that this person is ranked higher than this one as far as qualifications in order to run for the board. And that is basically just to give you a barometer of how they think that those things should go. And then everybody goes out for public election at that point. And the community gets to vote on the board of directors. So this year's nomination committee. So there are 2 seats on the nomination committee that are guaranteed every year. So the first one is always held by the immediate past president, which this year is Bill Graziano. I met Bill years and years ago. If you get a chance to meet him and talk to him, he's an awesome guy. One of the very first things that ever impressed me about Bill when I first sat down with him, I believe it was he was here for a board meeting, a past board meeting in the Dallas area. This was before we did SQL Rally, and they were here because we were having our SQL Saturday. And so that was the first time that I met him in person. And one of the first things he did when we sat down and we were sitting down at dinner, and he goes, what are your thoughts on this and that? And the first thing he did was break out a notebook. And not only did he take notes, because he was genuinely interested in feedback from the community and those points of views, but he took action on those items. And that was a really impressive thing in order to get that feedback, see somebody take that feedback and actually do something with it and be actionable about it. And that always really impressed me about Bill. The other one is a director at large. So this year it's going to be Grant Fritchie, also an amazing guy. Love Grant to death. He's been very, very helpful to me in my career and in the community as well. And the director at large is the board of directors they basically vote on who the director is that's going to sit. So it could be any of the directors at large. It happened to be Grant that got voted in this year. And then the other 3 are community members. So these are the folks that have submitted their application to be on the nominating committee. They went up for public vote, and the winners this year was Robert Davis. He goes by SQL Soldier for his blog address and Twitter. Love Robert to death. Man, that guy is fantastic from a technical perspective. Robert's awesome. Lori Edwards, she currently works for SQL Century. And then Bob Pusateri, he is out of Chicago. Met him for the first time in Denver, I think it was 2 years ago. Bob is sharp as all get out. And Lori, if you get a chance to meet her, Lori is so fun. She's got a great personality, and she's got a great heart. So these are all amazing folks. I'm very glad to see that they all got on the nomination committee this year. So your current directors at large right now. So we have Amy Lewis. So Amy Lewis does programs. So programs covers things like the large conferences that we do. Specifically, really covers, and they've kind of split the big two conferences out, and we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute, but the business analytics and the summit. So the summit falls under the program committee. She headed up the program committee for years before she got on the board, so it was only fitting that the portfolio that she got was over programs. She's done an amazing job there. The whole team and group on the program committee. I'm serving on the program committee this year myself. This is the second time that I have served on the program committee. And they do amazing things at shaping the summit. If you've been to the summit, you've looked at the technical content that is there and available, despite the fact that they have gone under, everything is always under such scrutiny because there's only so many slots available. It's a very tough process, and they are continually working and refining that process. They've done a great job there. JRJ, so JRJ is over the global growth. What he has done a phenomenal job. If you get a chance to talk to him in person and ask him, hey, how exactly have you handled global growth? What have you done for PASS with global growth? You will get an answer, I promise, that will blow you away. It's something that you didn't expect. And the things that he has done has been phenomenal in taking the different pieces of the community that already existed across the globe, particularly in the UK and the US, and finding the pieces and just taking those two and putting them together really, really well in order for PASS, in order to grow across the national lines. Jen is over the Business Analytics Conference, so she kind of heads up the new business analytics stuff. Grant Fritchie, again, he was one of the directors at large. He's on got voted in for the nomination committee. He is over chapters. So chapters is the physical local chapters, which we'll talk about here in a minute, including regional mentors, which we'll also talk about. Tim Ford runs SQL Cruise. He's involved with Dev Connections and picks all the speakers for that. He's been around the community for a very long time. He's a very respected and revered member of the community. And he is over the SQL Saturday portfolio, which if you've ever been to a SQL Saturday, you know how much is involved there. And that portfolio continues even under his, even with his leadership, has grown by leaps and bounds since he has started spearheading and taking over the SQL Saturday portfolio. Wendy is currently under virtual chapters. She used to actually do chapters, so she's been on the board for a while. Also an amazing community member, so make sure you get to know these folks if you can in person. Then you have your executive committee. So your executive committee is run by Tom Arak, who is currently the president. Tom has been on the board for a really long time, and Tom is just a fantastic guy. If you take the time to really get to know him and where his mind sits and the way that he thinks about things and the way he keeps himself grounded in order to keep a really good eye on the community, you couldn't have a better fit for a president there. Adam Jorgensen is the Executive Vice President of Finance. Adam has also been on the board for a while, and Adam worked for Pragmatic Works. I was very glad to see him get put on as finance. It was a really good fit because of the things that he has done over at Pragmatic. He's got a lot of experience there with running some of their programs and some of their community programs that they do, and it was a really good fit for him to be in the finance spot. Denise is the Vice President of Marketing, and can't talk enough about Denise. She is a really, really amazing person, and she's been over virtual chapters. She has been, I've worked with her in various capacities over the years. She's a very dynamic person, and she is very good at what she does. Of course, Bill Graziano, we've talked about, he's the immediate past president, and there are two seats always held by Microsoft. Microsoft is one of the founding partners of the organization, so they have two permanent seats, and Microsoft has appointed Jennifer Moser and Sanjay Mishra as their representatives on the PASS board. I haven't met Sanjay yet, but Jennifer is also a fantastic person. In fact, she heads up the MVP program now through Microsoft as well. So next, let's talk about local user groups. So this is where, we've talked about the organization, how the organization works, how it kind of flows at a high level, but now let's think about the organization of how it started. So PASS has always been a grassroots kind of an organization. That's how it's always run. That's how it got started. And they started with local chapters. And so this is a group of individuals that all love SQL Server. They all love the technology. They wanted to teach each other stuff. They wanted to learn more about it. And so they said, look, we all love it. Let's all get together and let's talk about it. And this is how the local user groups actually got started. Now, for the local user groups, and I'll show you how to find one near you, they're all over the world. You can find them no matter where you are located in the world. They're everywhere. And they're folks that are just like you and I. They go to work every day. They're working with SQL Server. The technology and the landscape is changing so fast. It is sometimes really difficult to keep up with all the things that are changing. And this is a great place to just keep your head in the game. In order to connect with other people that are doing those things that can help you out when you find a bump in the road, and also to learn about the new technologies as they're coming out. So if you make sure you take advantage of those, make sure you attend those whenever you can, because the benefits are definitely worth it. Now, as a chapter, if you don't have one local to you, you can start one, and there are some benefits that PASS provides to you. So as an organization, we talked about PASS as not-for-profit. They take any money that they do make and they put it right back into the community, because this is a community-driven organization. So the benefits and where they're able to use those money is to provide these benefits back to the local chapters. So if you're thinking of starting one, a lot of these things are already built in for you to give you a great head start, so that way you're not really starting from ground one. So the first one is you get a contact inside of HQ. Right now that's Carmen, and Carmen will get you in contact with a regional mentor. I am a regional mentor for South Central. I've got 15 user groups in my region right now, and my role there as a regional mentor is to help those folks that are starting new user groups, because it's not easy to get started, and to give them the tools that they need to be successful in running their chapters. Carmen helps out with that from HQ as well. They provide you a website, so you don't have to worry about having your own website. So they give you a landing page that you can have on the web for yourself. The website allows you to post meetings easily, keep a historical record of all those meetings. Office 365, they give you a subscription there. That way you've got an email address that you can use for your chapter. If you need to have remote presenters, you have access to things like Link to take advantage of. If you're marketing and trying to get new users, it's not always easy to get out there and market yourself. But if you're doing searches for community and SQL Server, you're going to hit SQLPass.org. You're going to find that. And so your chapter will be represented on SQLPass.org, and you'll be able to take advantage of the email list that they provide there as well. You will get a complimentary registration to one of the PASS conferences. So that is one of the advantages that you do get for being there. That is something that is not guaranteed every year. It depends on the budget, but it does go through an approval process every year. If it is in the budget, that is something that is a possibility every year, and something that they strive for. Access to conference recordings. So this is cool, because if you're running a local user group, one of the most difficult things is how do I find a speaker for a user group? And this is where your regional mentors come in handy, right? So regional mentors should have a good relationship within the community with other folks, so they will be able to point folks in your direction, text with their local and regional Microsoft folks, so that they can get Microsoft contacts that might be there, and local folks that they have in the region to come in and speak for your group for you. But if you can't find somebody, they give you access to all the recordings from the summit. That way you could play one of those recordings in your chapter if you can't find a speaker, and then you can have an open discussion about it afterward. They also give you contacts for swag and sponsors. You know, if you've got to find a facility and you've got to pay for a facility, a lot of times we have pizza or dinner, those types of things, because they happen in the evening to provide for your users, people to motivate folks to come, so whether that's books for giveaways and things like that, and those types of swag, they give you all the contacts for that, so you're not starting from scratch here. So they really give you your best chance at success. Regional mentors, I've already talked about this a little bit, right? So I told you I was a regional mentor for South Central. My job there is to make sure that the user group leaders in my region have the tools to make themselves successful. If you don't know who your RM is, make sure that you do go find them and start a relationship with them in order to take advantage of the resources that they can point you to. Our job there is to have this open communication channel. That's what I try to do. And some of being an RM is different for everybody and how they do it, but for me, I try to have an open communication channel. For me, I have always had calls with my region and my user group leaders. That way, we can discuss things like, let me think of a most recent example. Meetup.com has been the most recent example. Can I use Meetup.com to get new members for my chapter? Well, we found out that it works really, really well for some user groups, but some user groups, it hasn't really worked out that well. And so we found out that Meetup.com can be really great, but it depends on the area that you live in. But that might be an idea that you didn't think of, but because there's an open communication channel that your RM has opened with you and the other chapter leaders, then you're able to find out about all these fantastic ideas, marketing ideas and things like that. They might be able to help you find speakers. We talked about them putting you in contact with some of the Microsoft folks regionally, providing advice on running your user groups and your SQL Saturdays, and that's what we're here for. So regional mentors are usually folks that have done all of these things. They're either currently doing them or have done them in the past, either running SQL Saturdays or being on the board of directors for local user groups. And then, of course, they are a liaison and advocate to help you just communicate, give you that open channel between you and PASS. You know, if you're having a problem with your Office 365 account, who do you get in contact with? Well, you know who your RM is. They can get you in contact with the right person at HQ in order to get those issues resolved. So let's talk about how we can find our local user group. So it's pretty simple. So let's go out here to the web, and let's go hit the home page of SQLPass. So we go to SQLPass.org. Now, if you've ever attended a SQL Saturday, you're automatically a member of SQLPass. If you've ever attended the summit or one of those, then you will automatically be a member of the organization. If you're not, you can go out to SQLPass.org and then you can sign up. You don't get spammed with tons of emails. They send out a community newsletter twice a month. That's it. You might see 3 to 4 advertisements from sponsors a year, and that's about it. So if we go in here and we say, you know what, I want to find one. If you've got a PASS account, you can click Login up here at the top right-hand side. But let's go find a chapter. So I go under this PASS chapters heading here at the top, and then I go over to local chapters. And this all depends, so I don't know, let's make something up. Let's go take a look at, I don't know, let's say I live in, I don't know, let's say I live in Charlotte. Let's go see what's in, no, you know, we'll stay local, right? So I'm here in the Dallas area, so let's go see what's in the Dallas area. So we have this search here, so we can search for all the local user groups. There's 14 pages of user groups here, so there's user groups all over the world like we talked about. So we can narrow it down, so we can say Asia Pacific, Canada, US, which is where I'm at, the EMEA area or Latin America. We'll go with Canada, US, since that's where I'm at. You can pick a sub-region if you want. Maybe you just want to do a search. Maybe you say, you know what, I'm in Charlotte. I don't know what region that's in, so I'm not going to leave the sub-region alone. Let's just type in Charlotte. And we'll do a search. Sure enough, there's 2 user groups in Charlotte. There's a BI user group and there's a Charlotte SQL Server user group. So if I click the hyperlink for the user group, that'll take me to their actual web page, or I can just click register to join over here at the right. So I'm not going to do that because I don't live in this area, but I can click register to join, and then that will automatically join me to the user group. So that's how you can find a local user group near you. And then after you join, then you can go to their website and you can find out where they hold their meetings and all that kind of good stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and log in as myself here, just so we can get logged in and kind of see what these user groups look like, and you can kind of see what mine looks like. Mine will look a little bit different than yours simply because I told you I was a regional mentor for South Central, so I have every user group that I'm a member of in the South Central area. So things are running a little bit on the slow side there on the website today. We'll come back to that when we get into the virtual chapters. Let's go back to our slide deck here. So let's talk about virtual chapters next. So what if I go out here and I do a search for a local chapter and I can't find one? Let's say I typed in Charlotte and there weren't any in Charlotte. Well, that's kind of a bummer. So what do I do now if I want to take advantage of some of these resources? So there are two things. One, think really, really hard about starting a user group in that area yourself, because that would be a great opportunity, not only for yourself, but for the other folks in your area. And as we've already talked about, you're not starting from scratch. You've got a support system in place, and that's what PASS gives you. Take advantage of that support system. We will get you the help that you need to run your user group and be successful. And we've got, there is a framework in place for you for that. So seriously think about it if you can't find one in your local area about starting one. Your other choice is hey, you know what? There's not one local to me. How about a virtual chapter? This is the same thing. They hold meetings just like local chapters, with presenters that come in with great SQL Server technical content. But the difference between a virtual chapter is they're not located physically, right? They are doing webinars every month. Now, that varies. Everybody has a different cadence on exactly when they hold their webinars, but they are online user groups. Ours are all using GoToWebinar. That is something that PASS provides to the virtual chapters. And that was something that Denise headed up that got us onto the virtual as a GoToWebinar platform, which we can't ever thank her enough for doing. That's one of the great things about the folks on the board and the things that they do for the community. Just a prime example there. But what that has done here is given us topic-based virtual chapters. So instead of going to a chapter that's local that maybe they do stuff that's not always BI related and I'm in BI, or maybe they do a lot of BI stuff but I'm kind of on the engine side and I need some more content related to that, then I can go find a virtual chapter that is in line with the particular topic that I'm looking for. These virtual chapters not only provide those meetings, but they give you email discussion lists, generally speaking. Some of them provide events. So I am the president of the Performance Virtual Chapter. We hold a yearly event called the Performance Palooza. We just held it last year. Very excited about that. We grew by 100, so if you're not familiar with it, we do all performance-related tuning type topics for SQL Server, and we do, whether that's a BI-related thing or storage or whatever it happens to be, anything that's performance has anything to do with SQL Server is what we talk about as a chapter. Our event is 8 back-to-back sessions in a row during the day, and so we do that once a year. It's a great event. We grew, our attendance grew by 172% this year. So we were extremely excited about that, to be able to provide that kind of training and technical content out to the community. So that excited us a lot. We love doing it. We look forward to doing that every year. So keep an eye out. Some of these chapters have different events over the course of the year. And most of them are recorded. So just like today, the session will be recorded and it will be provided and available to you. Take advantage of that. Go look out there, go to your virtual chapters, click on the archive link up at the top, and most of them have the recordings available. Some of them post them out on YouTube channels, which is easily searchable. We just started doing that this year ourselves. So take advantage of those. Those are all free resources that are available to you. To give you an idea of the virtual chapters that are out here, this is a list of them. I told you about mine, the Performance Virtual Chapter. I can tell you that the DBA Virtual Chapter, they hold 2 meetings a month. The BI chapter, I believe they hold 3, maybe even 4 in a month. So it depends on the chapter that you're looking at, how frequently they hold their meetings, but make sure you take advantage of those. Those are some of my personal favorites. Also the HADR virtual chapter, because that's my technical area of interest and what I speak on a lot. That's one of my more favorite chapters, other than my own, of course, in the performance stuff, and the DBA chapter. But there's one out here for everything. Even if you're in a different language, there's multiple languages. There's Chinese out here, Hebrew out here. There's all kinds of great stuff out here. So how do you find a virtual chapter? There's a lot of them. We just saw that whole list there. And honestly, it's exactly like finding a physical chapter. Let me finish going through the login. I apologize. The website seems to be a little on the slow side today. And this time what we're going to do is we'll go under the top. We'll go, just like we did for local chapters, we'll go under virtual chapters so that we can do a search for the virtual chapters as well. And it's pretty easy to find them. And then once you have joined these chapters, you're logged in, you've got your account, you've joined all these chapters. I'll show you what they look like so you can see who I'm a member of. It's the exact same thing, right? So under past chapters, instead of local, I'm going to click virtual chapters. some of these headings that you see under here, because I'm an RM, you might not see all of these things under past chapters here, but you'll find local and virtual chapters. Don't worry if you don't see some of the others. So I'll click under here, and then hopefully this will come up, and we will be able to do a little bit of searching in order to find out all the chapters that are available. And it's just like the physical chapters, you click the join link, and once you click the join link, then you should start getting emails from them. Now what I will tell you is there's two things you need to look for physical and virtual chapters. With the virtual chapters, really no need to search. There's not as many of those as there are the physical ones. But you can go under here and you can click, here's the whole list. So you scroll through the list, you find one. You can see like high availability disaster recovery, I'm a member of that one, so that's why the leave button joins up. But I'm not part of healthcare, so if I wanted to join that one, I could click the join button and then automatically join into that. So two things happen. I'm going to go back to the home here so I can show you what that looks like. Clicking join makes me a member, which means if they use their chapter emailer through their chapter website that PASS provides them, then you'll get notified of meetings and stuff through their email list. It automatically puts you on their email list. Now, the email list is a one-way communication only, so a lot of them have another list in addition to that to where they can have like discussion type lists, which is another free resource that I encourage you to take advantage of. So if you're interested in HADR topics and you're doing a new implementation, you got a question about it, go to their actual website, see if they have a discussion list available and join that list, shoot an email out to the list, and you'll get an answer. That's a totally free resource that's available to you that a lot of folks don't take advantage of. So make sure you take advantage of those, and that's on a chapter per chapter basis. So now that I'm logged in, I found my local chapters, I found the virtual chapters I wanted to join. If I scroll down a little bit, I'll see right here on my dashboard under my chapters section, here's the local chapters. Now I've got a huge list here because these are all the chapters in the South Central region. Since I'm a regional mentor, I'm a member of all of these chapters. You probably will not going to see a list quite this long. And then here's the virtual chapters. So as you can see, I've joined 3 of them, the database administration, high availability disaster recovery, and the performance virtual chapters here. So this is where you can kind of access all of your chapters, and you can get right to their website. So I can click on any one of these and it will automatically take me to their website. So that's how we can find those. Go back to our slide deck here. So the next thing that PASS offers is the PASS Summit. So this is the one thing, and so far everything we've talked about that PASS has done and all these things, local chapters, virtual chapters, these are all free resources. Okay? These are things that don't cost you anything, that are free resources for you to take advantage of. Now they also have the PASS Summit. So this is the largest conference in the world for SQL Server. It is generally held at in Seattle every year. Not always, it does move from time to time, but most of the time it is held in Seattle. And so I'm not going to talk too much about this because Neil told us about this a little bit earlier, but what I will tell you is if you look down there at the very bottom, there's a code down there to save $150 off. Now every local chapter has its own code, every virtual chapter has its own code. And for our virtual chapter here today, that code that you see down there for the bottom, down at the bottom, is for the professional development chapter here. So make sure as a member of this chapter that you use that code. If you're not able to write it down, you forget what it is, you want to use it in the future, it is right there on the home page of the virtual chapters website, so you can find it there as well. But that will save you $150 off. Now keep in mind that the overall price for the summit has increases, and I can't remember off the top of my head, I'm forgetting right now when the next increase is. I think it's about a month to 6 weeks away. Will there be another price increase? So the sooner you do it and use that code, the better off you are in order to get a better price. You will not regret going to the summit if you go. I'll be speaking there this year. I'll be there. Make sure you come and find me and say hi. I would definitely like to meet you in person. 24 hours of PASS. So this is 24 straight hours of technical content. Okay, so these are sessions, 24 of them, 24 one-hour sessions in a row. They are all theme-based, and the theme varies, and they're all archived. So you can go back to all the previous 24 hops, you can see all the recordings, and watch any of them for free. Just one more thing that PASS as an organization provides us. Here's an example of some of the themes they've had in the past. Summit Preview pretty much happens every year. And the idea behind the Summit Preview is these are folks that have been selected to speak at the PASS Summit, This is a shorter version. It's not their full presentation. It's a shorter version. And the idea is to give you, if you have never been, what should I expect as far as technical content? Like, what's going to be there? What's the quality of speakers and the caliber that I'm going to get out of this? This is how you find out. This will give you a sampling of some of the speakers that will be there and the content that you can expect. BAC preview. So this is the Business Analytics Conference. This is the Business Intelligence and Business, or not the Business Intelligence, but the Business Analytics piece. This is another conference. There's a yearly conference. There's usually a preview and sampling of those sessions as well. If there is a SQL Server product launch, so when Microsoft released SQL Server 2014, there was a 24-hop for that specific release that was all about the new features and stuff that was coming out in 2014 when that was released. The most recent one that just completed last month was growing our community, and this one was awesome. I absolutely love this idea. So this was folks that had been submitting, because it's really, really hard to be able to get in and speak at the PASS Summit. These are folks that had never had spoken at the PASS Summit before, in order to give them an opportunity to get their name out there and grow our community that are new speakers that have not been able to speak yet at the PASS Summit. Fantastic. It was super cool to have all those folks speaking. They have one for they have a Russian edition and Spanish edition that they've had in the past. They have also had, there was another one, I believe there's a Portuguese one if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head there. So SQL Saturdays, this is an all-day training event that are completely free. They happen all over the world. Sometimes there are multiple going on in a weekend. SQL Saturday is, it's kind of like a mini summit. It depends on which one you go to. They all vary in size, but they are completely free to you. So usually your local chapter, if you have one, is going to be the host of the SQL Saturday there in your region that you can take advantage of. And if you are not only looking at the SQL Saturdays, and Neil talked about this a little bit earlier, but not only is it a full day training event held by the local user group, but the speakers that are there, not only are they local, but a lot of times a lot of the larger national speakers go speak at these SQL Saturday events too. So you do get some amazing content and great speakers there at these events. They are free and open to the public. There usually is a nominal fee for lunch, but it is totally optional. You can bring your own lunch if you want and show up completely for free on your own. But most of that stuff is paid for by the sponsors. I want to thank all the sponsors that sponsor our SQL Saturdays. Thank you guys for sponsoring there to make these things available for our community. The great thing too is if you're a smaller user group, it may seem a little daunting to put on a SQL Saturday, but I encourage you to talk to some folks in the community about running one, because it can really increase your user group membership. Just from a marketing perspective, it really gets your name out there. And like Neil talked about earlier, a lot of these SQL Saturdays are doing pre-cons now. So even though SQL Saturday is all day, it's 8 sessions, and usually 1-hour sessions, hour and 15-minute sessions, somewhere in that area, which is great. But what if you need a really good deep dive into a particular subject? Well, a lot of them on the Friday before the event will hold pre-cons. Now, those aren't free. Those do cost money, but they're usually about $100 to $125. So it's for an in-depth deep dive into a subject, it is definitely well worth the money. So we looked at some of the upcoming SQL Saturdays that were coming up. I know that I will be in Oklahoma City at the end of August. I will be speaking there. I'm also doing a pre-con. So that is a prime example there of an event that's doing pre-cons. So if you happen to be anywhere in the Oklahoma City area, make sure you check out their event and definitely look for the ones that are running local to you. Make sure to look and see if they're having a pre-con. If you don't see information about it, ask them if they're doing it, because those are great opportunities for you. Oh, and here's the list of upcoming ones. So Baton Rouge was just this past weekend. They always have it coming up this weekend. So if you're in that area, then Omaha, Louisville, and El Paso. El Paso, this will be, they happen to be in my region, so this will be El Paso's very first initial SQL Saturday they have ever held out in El Paso. So they've got a great venue out there. They're getting geared up for that, so they're very excited about that. If you're in the area, take advantage of that as well. So the SQL Saturday site, just to show you guys what it looks like. if you haven't been out here. That way you know how to search and find one in your local area. Here's SQLSaturday.com. So if we want to find a local SQL Saturday that's close to us, and let me see here. Let's scroll down. So the initial list here on the website shows them all in chronological order. So these are all the ones that are upcoming. But if maybe you're, let's take myself for example. So I live here in Dallas. Does Dallas have one coming up soon? I type in the keyword search box. Let's see if Dallas has one coming up soon. Sure enough, here's one for Dallas. Look at that. They've got one on October 3rd. Great, so we can click on this for October 3rd, and this is the one in Dallas. If this happens to be the one that we want to attend, and then I could take a quick look here, and I can say, oh, hey, they're going to have it at the University of Texas in Arlington. It's on October 3rd. It's free for me to go. It looks like they do have some pre-cons that are happening. It looks like those have been open for public vote, and you can find some more information about that here. If I want to get an idea of the content, this is everybody over here on the right-hand side. This is everybody that has submitted a session. And so if you want to get an idea of the content at the SQL Saturday that you're thinking about going to, you can go look at all the sessions. And you can submit to speak if you're looking to speak. And that's how we can find a local event close to you and get signed up for that. If you want to attend, you can just click login up here. If you don't have an account, it'll prompt you to create an account, and then all you have to do is register for the event. You can see the register now button up here at the top. We can click that, and then if you're already a past member, you can just log in. If you're not, you can just create an account, and off to the races you go, and you can get signed up for that. So make sure you're taking advantage of these SQL Saturday events, and hopefully you'll get to meet some local people in your area that have some expertises around that. So you've looked at this and you're sold, right? 24-hop, local SQL Saturdays, local chapters, virtual chapters, amazing content. You're going to be able to connect with people. You're going to be able to share the things that you've learned with other people. You're going to be able to connect with them and learn the things from them. You're going to hear all these great speakers, all this great technical information that's going to help you grow your career. Sounds amazing, doesn't it? And it is. So take advantage of this stuff, seriously. How do you get more involved, though? I had a gentleman ask me this week. He sent me an email. He found me on LinkedIn, and he said, hey, look, I'm looking to get a little bit more involved in the community. He happens to be here in the Dallas area. He says, look, I see that you've got an event coming up. I want to get more involved. I want to volunteer. How do I do that? How do I get plugged into this? Great. It's all a volunteer-run organization, so we're always happy to have more volunteers for everything. So first place, talk to the local leadership of your local user group if you've got one. Go talk to them first. Say, look, do you need help? Maybe it's something as simple as, look, when the pizza gets delivered, I need somebody to set out the pizza. You know what? Those small things go a long way. They really help when you're trying to kick off a meeting and start a meeting. I start our local chapter meetings most of the time. I got pizza showing up that has to be set out on the table, needs to be set up. I've got an intro deck that I've got to get ready. I've got to make sure the projectors are on. I've got to make security's okay. And there's a lot of things that are going on, even just for a little meeting. So talk to your local user group. See if you can help them get their meetings set up. Maybe you can help them market their meetings by handling their social media stuff, LinkedIn and Twitter and those things, and getting the information out about the meetings. Maybe you have ideas about marketing their meetings that nobody else has ever thought about. That would be really welcomed. Maybe somebody run their finances, their governance type stuff. So these are all things where you can just talk to them and find out, what do you guys need help with? Where can I help you at? SQL Saturday, definitely need to talk to your local user group leadership and help volunteer for that. It's a big undertaking to put these one-day events on. They're going to need your help, always need people's help. When you register for a SQL Saturday, there's a checkbox that says, I would like to volunteer. And if you want to help volunteer, make sure you check that box off. Volunteer to start a virtual chapter. Maybe you got into the virtual chapters and you said, you know what, I'm all about SOX auditing. I'm just making that up, right? And that's one of the big things that's always driven here for me, or HIPAA or something like that. I should create a user group, a virtual online user group that's dedicated toward how I handle SQL Server in a SOX world or a HIPAA world. Great. Shoot us an email. Shoot somebody and pass an email. Shoot me an email. I'll get you in contact with the right person. We'll get you plugged in, and maybe we'll get you the resources, and you can start a chapter for that. Whatever it is that floats your boat, right? Maybe you've got a virtual chapter that's already out there that's all about stuff. Like you love professional development, you love this chapter, you love the content that they bring you. Maybe they need a little bit of help setting up meetings or running meetings or getting information out and shooting emails and those types of things. Give them an email. There's usually a contact right on the homepage of the website. Shoot them an email. Say, hey, look, I'd love to help out. Anything you need, let me know. I'd love to dig in. So here's the other thing we can do. If we go to My Volunteer, we're going to go back to the PASS website. Let me go back a couple pages here. Go back to SQL Pass. Probably take a second here to pull up. By the way, the SQL Saturday website got a new launch this year. Man, you got to thank the guys for doing that. It was a tough road. It was a rough road to make a big implementation like that affects so much stuff. And they did a fantastic job. I know they really poured their hearts and time into that. So, you know, Jason, Wesley, all the guys on the HQ IT team, you know, shoot them a thank you email. These guys don't get thank yous enough. It only takes you a second to say, hey, thanks for spending your time doing this stuff. Shoot Tim Ford an email and say, look, I know you're the director of the SQL Saturday. Love the new website. Shoot them an email. They really want to hear from you. All right, so this is taking a little bit longer to load. Here it comes. Finally, we're getting somewhere, maybe. Things are running a little slow today. That might be my connection here, a little on the slow side. So when that pulls up, let me see where we are on the slide deck while we're waiting on that to pull up. I'm going to talk about a couple more things. We're going to come back to that. I'm going to show you this one last slide while that's pulling up. Now, I told you about shoot a thank you note out. So the other thing you can do, because we're all a volunteer organization, is who doesn't want to hear you've been doing a good job, right? Everybody likes to do that. Everybody likes to be appreciated. And so that's the one thing I always encourage people to do more of is thank the folks that do this stuff. They do such a wonderful, amazing job. All these different things from VCs to SQL Saturdays, all this stuff. All it takes is a little thank you. Just something minor. You would be surprised at sometimes how far that can really go. So one of the other things you can do in addition to thanking them in person, shooting them an email, is we have what we call, PASS holds what they call the Outstanding PASS Volunteer Award. Shoot an email. The email address is down there at the bottom. You can get that off the PASS website as well. It's volunteerrecognition@sqlpass.org. Shoot them an email and say, hey, look, so-and-so does this awesome job at running the local SQL Saturday or my virtual chapter. You know, I know they put a lot of work into it every month. They did an outstanding job. I really just want to recognize them for doing that. Submit people for that. You know, please do that. There's also one that is called the Passion Award. So the Passion Award is something that's there's only one of them given out per year. It is awarded at the PASS Summit Conference. This is somebody who has gone above and beyond in multiple facets, right? So this is somebody that, and I know several folks that fall into this, that really pour their heart and soul into the community, that really wanted to succeed, and they do multiple things, right? This is somebody that's run on the board of that's on the board of directors, the guys that run virtual chapters, guys that are regional mentors, guys that, and ladies, of course, obviously. We have some amazing women. In fact, the Passion Award winner last year was Amy Lewis. You see the things that she does with the program committee, the things that she's done since she's been on the board. Come on, that's why she wins a Passion Award, because these people pour their heart and soul into this stuff, and they do multiple things, right? They help run their local chapters. They're helping run SQL Saturdays, and sometimes they're doing these things simultaneously. So these are the kind of folks you want to submit for a Passion Award. Shoot an email out. The web link is down there at the bottom. You can find it on the PASS website. But let's take advantage. Let's take the opportunity to thank the folks that volunteer for our organization and just let them appreciate what they do for us. Let me flip back over to see if our web page is loaded here as we kind of finish up today. All right, so it finally pulled up here. If you go down here on the left-hand side, and of course you've got my chapters, your profile, all that kind of stuff, the SQL Saturday stuff. If we click on My Volunteering, this will allow you to volunteer to get more organized and plugged into the things that you're interested in. So you can check the checkbox here at the very top. It says I want to sign up to be a past volunteer, and then down here, here's your areas of interest. Now, these are the ones that I've personally checked off: speaking opportunities, governance, input, and review. Now, do you notice the ones that I've checked off have a description under them, right? So this says, speaking interested, what exactly does speaking opportunities mean? Well, let's say you wanted to look at educational programs. And you're like, I wonder exactly what that entails. What exactly does that mean? If you check the box off, then it will give you the short description to give you a better idea. And it says, oh, it's interested in joining the program committee to help evaluate speakers. You can review abstracts, help select sessions, and that kind of stuff for the summit or the business analytics conference. So that one's what that's about. So if you check them off, you're wondering exactly what they mean, check the box, it'll tell you what it means, and then you click save. And what that allows somebody to do is go, oh, well, I'm running SQL Saturday in my area. I can go out and I can do a search as an event organizer and say, hey, who has volunteered to be a SQL Saturday volunteer? And so I can go search that. So go check off the areas that you're interested in. That way folks can contact you that are leaders in these areas to help run that. So with that, that is the end, and we're right here at the top of the hour. We've talked about what is PASS as an organization. It's a grassroots effort. It's something that started and built itself up into this amazing organization that provides a framework for local user groups and virtual chapters to be successful and help the community and give back. So always keep that in mind, what PASS's goal is and the things that it does for the community. That way you can be more involved. How is it run from a top level down? How does the organization actually work? We talked about the NOMCOM, the board of directors. What about local user groups, the virtual chapters, SQL Saturdays, and all the things that you can get involved in, even if you're just a member and you just want to join these things and take advantage of them? Please do that. That's what they're there for. If you're having problems getting plugged in, you're not sure where to go, you have questions about anything at all at any given time, my email address is down there. Oh, actually, it's not. I'm sorry. My blog address, ryanjadams.com. I do blog out there, and I'm on Twitter as Ryan J. Adams. Go follow me on Twitter. I tweet about this stuff all the time. I tweet about SQL Server stuff all the time. I blog all the time. Take advantage of that. My email address is ryan@ryanjadams.com, which you can find on my blog, and you can hit me up on Twitter. Shoot me an email. If you're not sure where to go, maybe you're a chapter leader, and you've got some questions about running your chapter. It doesn't matter that you're not in my region. I will get you plugged in with your RM. I will help you, whether you're in my region or not. You're running a virtual chapter. You've got questions about things about how you can make it better in marketing and opportunities. I've written posts on that stuff. You're running a SQL Saturday. You're not sure. Shoot me an email. Get in touch with me. I'll get you in contact with the right people because I want everybody that's out here to be successful in the community, be successful in their careers, and grow because that's what we can do together if we join together in this community. So Neil, with that, I'll hand it back over to you. If there's any questions, I am more than happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
So thank you, Ryan. That was a fantastic description of some of the benefits of the PASS organization, all the different things that we do. Once you get involved with PASS and actually kind of get to learn about the different events, the SQL Saturdays, the virtual chapters, the summits that we have, and all the other kind of capabilities that we have through online resources, you will come to learn that this is kind of a fantastic capability, a community for SQL Server by the SQL Server community itself. So, you find that you will get to make kind of relationships and networking with some of the best minds in the world around what SQL Server is, and them all willing to help and kind of progress your careers in some way. So thank you, Ryan. It's great to kind of have you come and join us at the Professional Development VC. One aspect that obviously, ongoing for anyone's career is those professional development kind of tips and tricks. And one of the greatest ones I've found is actually the PASS organization for me. It's allowed me to grow well beyond what I thought I was capable of becoming. And, being a kind of multiple chapter leader, speaking at multiple times at the PASS Summit and other events, I wouldn't have had that experience or those opportunities to me unless I initially got involved with PASS. So it was a great description of all the things available there. Any questions? We don't see any have any here. The recording will be posted up shortly. If you do have any questions, just get in touch with myself or Ryan or anybody else in the PASS community, and reach out, because we're here to help. Ryan, thank you very much. It's obviously a pleasure. I will see you in October, and thank you again for inviting me to your Palooza recently. It was an awesome invite again to be on that. Thank you, everyone. We will let you go. I do have one question actually coming through. Let me just have a quick look at what this is. It's actually a big thank you. So I must kind of add my +1 on that one for you as Ryan. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you at the next Professional Development VC. Information will go out as soon as we have those details locked down. Ryan, thank you.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Neil.